Hey, this is Jamie at Useful Knowledge. So this video we're calling Camping 101. This is going to be for you campers that have never been camping before, but you want to get out to the outdoors and see what it's like. We're going to show you what to take, how to set up your campsite, and we're going to show you how to build this campfire right here and how to cook a camp dinner over it. So stay tuned. Oh, and don't forget the marshmallows. When you first arrive at the campsite, you want to set your tent up. So what you need to set your tent up, you need a ground cloth, and that's just a tarp, and that protects the bottom of the tent from moisture, from grass and sticks that may poke holes in the bottom of the tent. You need your tent, and you need a rubber mallet or even just a hammer to drive in your tent stakes. Okay, once your tent is set up, you want to set up your bedding. Now I recommend one of these blow-up mattresses that you can get in the big box stores, or some type of comfortable mattress pad. And the reason is you want to be comfortable. If this is your first time ever camping, you want to be as comfortable as possible. Don't forget your batteries. Okay, once you blow up your mattress, which takes about 2 to 3 minutes, or you place in a mattress pad of some type, next thing you want to do is go ahead and put in your sleeping bag. Okay, recommendations on sleeping bags for those that have never been camping. Purchase a sleeping bag that is rated for 20 degrees colder than what you expect to camp in. For instance, tonight it's going to be 35 degrees here in North Alabama, so I'm using a sleeping bag that is rated for 15 degrees. Next, bring you a pillow. You don't have to purchase a camp pillow. You can bring a pillow from home. Next, I suggest you wear some type of beanie or something to cover your head up while you're sleeping. It'll help keep you warm. Finally, I recommend a fresh pair of socks. The reason I like to put on a fresh pair of socks when I go to bed, it helps to keep you warm. And if you wear the socks that have been in your boots all day, those are going to be damp. It's going to contribute to you being cold. So you need to swap out your socks before you go to bed. So if you're going camping, you need a campfire. If you've never started a campfire in your life, that's okay. I'm going to show you the simplest, easiest way to do it. So what you're going to use is some instant light charcoal. You're going to mount it up. So this campfire ring is something I personally own, but most of your state campgrounds and federal campgrounds will have a campfire ring similar to this. What I like to do is build a log cabin fire around this. I'm going to demonstrate for you. Okay, once you get the big logs on, start putting on some smaller logs. And we're going to place a couple of smaller logs down below so that the fire can really get on those. Okay, just need to let that build up, and there's your campfire. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes, and as you can see, we have a pretty good campfire going. Okay, the campfire's looking good. Our charcoal is burning down. So what I like to do around this point is to go ahead and add a small piece of wood right up in the middle. So that's really going to get to burning, and you'll have a very nice campfire at that point. Okay, so one thing to note about campfires is they will burn down and fall. So you need something to kind of help you move the wood around. Now I recommend a shovel. Just go buy you a cheap shovel, and that will help you move that wood around. It doesn't have to be a fancy shovel, just something cheap from a box store is fine. And you need a pair of leather gloves when you're working around the campfire, just so you don't burn your hands. And there's a pair of leather gloves that I like to use. Okay, for cooking over a fire, for someone who hasn't cooked over a fire, I'm going to recommend cooking some hot dogs or some brats or some beef sausage. Now get the ones that are already fully cooked. If you'll notice and you'll look on them, you'll see that's fully cooked. Okay, the reason I recommend these is because you don't have to worry about getting sick. You're just browning them over the fire, and they'll be ready to eat once they really get hot and browned over the fire. I recommend some chips and some hot dog buns, and you've got a meal. Don't forget the ketchup, mustard, and also bring you something, whatever you like to drink, I brought some water for this camping trip. Don't forget paper plates, some type of utensils, and also bring a roll of paper towels. Okay, one last recommendation for cooking over a fire: you need a camp fork. You can get these in the camping stores and your big box stores in the camping area. It's just called a camp fork, and they're usually about 3 feet long. Okay, what I usually like to do is I put my camp fork in there for a minute just to make sure it's cleaned off. Okay, all we got to do here with this camp fork is just put your sausage on there, and then obviously this camp fork's pretty hot. Okay, I want to show you this. These sausages are done. Only cooked them for about 5 minutes. Now we're going to get out the hot dog buns and the chips. We're going to have ourselves some dinner. Okay, and there's your camp meal. Enjoy it. Okay, just a note here, some of this wood is burning up and actually falling down into our campfire. So as you need more wood, especially if you get cold, keep adding wood to it. When it gets dark and things get quiet and the fire gets big, it's time for marshmallows. Okay, good morning. We're gonna make some breakfast. Of course, coffee's first. Okay, let's see what we have here. Okay, our water's starting to boil. So I like to make cowboy coffee. I add 1 well-rounded teaspoon to every cup of water I have in here. Just straight to the water. Okay, what I recommend you do is you take your water off the eye before you put your coffee in. You don't want to have a full rolling boil going on while you're adding your coffee. So I've got 5 cups of coffee in here. I'm adding 5 well-rounded teaspoons of coffee, just straight to the water. So that's what it's going to look like. And then basically you're going to put that back on your eye. Now you don't want that eye on full blast. So once that coffee starts doing this, I want you to turn that eye down, because at this point this coffee is ready to go. Turn that eye down to really low or even off, and just set this over to the side. We're going to put that coffee on the edge of that eye to keep it warm. Now all I'm doing here is I always carry a cast iron skillet with me. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to warm up bagels. And we're going to have bagels and cream cheese. Now, if you don't own a camp stove, try to borrow one. Or simply go find you a restaurant. Most of these parks are close to a town. And just go find your restaurant for breakfast if you don't want to cook breakfast in the woods. Okay, our bagels are smelling good. Yep, they're starting to brown. Let's turn them over. At this point, I'm just going to turn everything off, because this iron skillet's hot and that's going to brown them and warm them up. So I'm just going to turn everything off. Coffee's really hot, the skillet's hot, and we're going to be ready for breakfast here in a second. Okay, at this point, we're just going to load up these bagels with some cream cheese, and we're going to call it breakfast. All right, there you go. That's a good camp breakfast right there. Got some bagels and cream cheese, some hot coffee. So we hope you gained some useful knowledge on how easy it is to go camping for your first time. So remember, we talked about shelter. We talked about bedding. We talked about building that campfire. We talked about cooking over that campfire. We talked about marshmallows. And lastly, we talked about cooking breakfast. So we hope you have a great first camp out, and thanks for watching.